amendments needed. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Mangloni. Any further under miscellaneous business? Ready? I'll recognize floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and colleagues. I just want to mention that a recent article in the paper that came out in the Tribune with an interview with Chairman of Ways and Means, Ralph Yumo, powerful chairman. He had mentioned that there was a shortfall this quarter by the tune of $5.3 million. And that is very alarming news. I say that because, as you mentioned, we are, if we don't change this trend, if we don't see more revenue coming in, we're looking at a possible $20 million shortfall, and this is extremely alarming. I think at this point, Mr. Speaker, we really need to reach out to our governor and the business sector, and including our Senate counterparts with Senate President, and have a formal discussion on what we're going to do moving on from here. We can't just accept this trend and expect a $20 million shortfall. The question is, how do we change this? And I think we have to really, everyone work together in this. I'm asking for all of us members to work together, and that includes our leadership in the minority, with everybody pulling and working together. Guys, this is critical. The last thing that we want to see is more hours cut. It's just, or jobs cut. People are hurt, our families are hurting. And we need to do everything we can to bring in these tourists. I say this because it seems almost a contrast to what we were seeing in Guam. Had a friend that was passing through Guam that couldn't even get a hotel room because they were full. We're at 30% occupancy. So I just want to mention that, Mr. Speaker and colleagues. I urge us to prioritize this and consider, like I said, putting together a formal working group. Thank you.
Thank you, floor leader. I recognize Representative Roman Benavides.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With regards to a lot of these bills that we've been passing in the past, and even up till now, I was looking at it and I feel that a lot of the shortfall issues, I think we should work together to try to beef up the enforcement on all different areas of the government, so we can start collecting taxes and fees and other revenues that's available, so we can put it into our coffer and finance. We can upkeep the budget as the shortfall comes along. Malaguzo na be soalan kita ibinis, Mr. Speaker, daw matumur ni Kauto. Kasi siya nabiyo ita papas kaya manmapos. Sige na itapaso ng biyo. Law enforcement, ipo-enforce sailay, iporo maprotehe dyan ang biyo. Ti kabalis, ti kapabalis udo. Pues gininaw na udo kapay sinam dyan turo. Ita ni mga gini pues ng Kongreso sa ti parahitas ni. Para mamay na siya na pumunta. Pues wala na tagini ta sobi. Tanoy alimo da empeño after mano ni ta Zure administration. Jaw mag-beef up enforcement. Asya on all the different areas of enforcement, whether fish and wildlife, BECQ, todo lugar ni sinya man mangulek sa mapi. And no, Mr. Speaker, si dos masik.
Thank you, Representative Benavente. Representative Manicos.
Just to add on to what Representative Benavente mentioned, in addition to beefing up enforcement, we also need to sit down with the business community as well and look at some of our laws and deregulate them. Some of these laws are a barrier to business success. We also need to amend it to make it easier and more convenient to pay taxes. And then at the same time, look at the data, because the numbers don't lie. there will be some bills that I'm working on right now. I'm meeting with customs and some of the members of the business community to kind of really look at some of these like taxes in general and see how we can beef up one side. So one side, for example, if we can, when I say deregulate, sometimes when we deregulate one portion of the tax, it increases the other side. So, and with that, we'll also need additional enforcement. So, for example, the BGR. We help the business. We, with their success in sales, it's gonna be a successful side on the BGR side. But if we don't have the adequate staffing at tax and revenue to assess the BGR side, then it's not gonna work. With all of you guys, and hopefully the Senate, our Senate counterparts can also really look at the bill. Because some of the bill, for example, Rep. Marissa's bill for PUGWA, it's not popular in some cases, but it has a lot of benefits not only to the hospital, but it also has economic benefits to our farmers. So if we can get more of our people to increase production of PUGWA on island, that's gonna improve the BGR status. So reducing our imports helps the economy. So before we even focus on export, reducing things that we can increase entrepreneurial spirit within our municipalities. So thank you again, Mr. Speaker. But another thing is zoning. We need to really look at zoning, and when I say deregulate, I'm not saying to abolish, but we may need to put zoning under Department of Public Works with building code. So it's these kind of ideas that we're not trying to eliminate jobs, but we're trying to streamline the process so that it helps everyone. Thank you again.
Thank you, Representative Manny Castro. Representative Vincent O'Donnell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So let me jump off the cliff over here for a minute. All right. So the great President Ronald Reagan, in one of his speeches, he said it best in 9 or 10 words. And I quote, when he said, the worst thing you could hear from a government official is to tell the public, and I quote, don't worry, we're from the government. We're here to help. End quote. Now, what that means is that when the public demands the government to provide any kind of service, okay, best believe, like they say on Wall Street, there's no such thing as free lunch. There's nothing free. And the people have to understand that the more that you demand from the government, guess where that government is going to get that money? To pay for the service or the product that you are asking for. Through taxes. Majority of it is through taxes. Now, if the private sector and the public at large do not want to pay more taxes, then stop demanding too much from the government. So every single one of us have to help each other. It's not just the administration, it's not just the legislation, and it's not just the private business sector. Everybody. That's to include the household. It costs money to clean up every village. It costs money to remove junk cars. It costs money to gather stray dogs and cats. It costs money to clean up storm drains because there's a lot of trash floating around in the villages. And if you demand for the government to clean it up, then stand by to start paying higher taxes. The taxes are supposed to help the community, yes, absolutely. But when the public at large is not doing its part in cleaning up their fair share, then I'm sorry to say, but it needs to be taxed. You dispose of your vehicles or your garbage in a proper manner, then that means the less that the government has to go out there and clean up after you. So be responsible, and let's all act like an adult and get our act together. You don't want to pay taxes? do your part. Clean up after yourself and take care of things after yourself. If you see something wrong, you report it to the proper authorities and you follow up. If you need to contact somebody to make a report, then by all means do so, but do not just complain and not do anything about it, but just complain. If you don't want to pay taxes, then do your part.